Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and if anyone would like to sign up for public comment, please do so via the chat by 12:30. All yours, Evelyn.
All right, thank you so much. Well, thank you for joining today, and we're going to start with our statement of reaffirmation. So the trustees of the Boston Public Library reaffirm our commitment to racial equity and to principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion more broadly. The library is formally committed to becoming an anti-racist organization in response to systemic racism, inequity, and injustice prevalent in our society. We acknowledge also that the Boston Public Library Central Library stands on land that was once a water-based ecosystem, providing sustenance for the indigenous Massachusetts people, and is a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange among nations. We are committed to land acknowledgements across all locations at which we operate. We reaffirm this commitment to set the context of our planning, deliberations, and public engagement will take place from the spirit of welcome and respect, found in our motto, free to all. And we do a roll call.
Yes. I'm just going to say your last names. Arana Ortiz.
Yes.
Foley.
Yes.
Johnson will be absent. Knight. Allen.
Yes.
Thank you. Nagaraja will be late, and I will acknowledge when she does join the meeting. And Tyler. Absent. We do have a quorum.
We do. All right. So can we have an approval of the minutes? Any comments? Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have any edits, any commentary on the minutes? Edits, proposed edits? No? All right. So can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Just raise your hands so I can acknowledge you. Alan, can you raise your hand? I can't see you. Is he all right? Thank you. All right. So moved. Thank you.
All right, Priscilla.
Nope. Do you want to go over the budget, Evelyn?
I thought a budget was after. No,
I didn't. Oh, did it? I have it. I don't know. I just have it on the slide so that you know the.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's in the slide. All right, I'm sorry. I had the things reversed. No, look, approval of the minutes goes first. Oh, I did it. So never mind. Budget. So we have the distribution approved is 110,933, and we have a carryover of 124,908 for a total expenditure for this coming year of 235,842. Any questions on the budget for next year?
Can we make sure to then say, with my salary taken out, how much we actually have for the grant, so we don't make a mistake like we did one year, remember?
Yeah, we'll do that. What I did, so I could keep track, what I did is I started a spreadsheet, and I'll include the salary in here.
Okay.
But that's a good call. So I will do that.
Do you need the exact amount, Evelyn?
Yes, hold on.
Give me 1 second. I have it written in the minutes. Come on, my computer is acting up. Not the time.
All right. When you find it, you can give it to me.
Okay.
I'll carry on. Jay, can I go to the next slide? All right, so Priscilla, now it's your turn.
Good afternoon. I wanted to just give some brief updates for the Boston Public Library throughout the whole system, and then a few highlights for Roxbury specifically. We've been very fortunate in the last 2 years to have an increase of staff for our branch staff. Last year, we got additional positions, and coming into fiscal year 24, we have additional positions to support the staff programs, outreach, and we're very fortunate that Roxbury is also one of those locations that will be increasing their staffing. I really feel that this will be a huge benefit to all the neighborhoods that have these amazing branches in them, but also was particularly Roxbury is a very busy branch, and we know they definitely need additional support from their great staff there. The Roxbury branch continues to have amazing programs. We were able to open full days on Saturdays in April at the Roxbury branch, as well as a few others. And we anticipate that by the end of the calendar year, we'll have all of our branches will have full Saturdays 9 to 5, except Chinatown. So we're really looking forward to that. And that's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Priscilla? No questions? Oh, this group, it's like super easy today. All right, Candelaria, quick updates before we go into the full RFP.
Okay, so what I wanted to do, I can't control it, is to scroll down to those slides toward the end. I just wanted to share there they are, the programs in June and July. If you, next slide. That was the Take the A Train flyer, next slide. And it was a camp about the Harlem Renaissance that ran for a week in June, and that's a photo of some of the students, next slide. And students in different groups. On the left is Stephanie McKay, and on the right is Lauren Dale. They co-taught it together. Next slide. And so some of the activities they did, they have on the left, you see Harlem Schomburg Library. It was actually a library branch of the New York Public Library named after Arthur Schomburg, who was of Puerto Rican and African-American descent and had amassed a private collection. And then they did some building with blocks on Building Harlem. Next slide. So they also practiced scatting. They learned about Ella Fitzgerald. And so this is a child who wrote Night Falls, and the scatting at the end, do we Bob Bo lay down. Stephanie McKay is a recording artist who's performed all over the world. And so she does a lot with the music of this camp. Next slide. And this is, I thought they did a really good job of having books from the library about different people. So, you know, me and Uncle Romy is Romary Bearden, who's was one of the top artists in the world who used collage. She has Duke Ellington. They have Singing the Blues, Visiting Langston Hughes. So all of these figures from the Harlem Renaissance were studied in Take the A Train. So it was a really, really well done camp. And then Movers and Makers was in July, and there were 6 sessions. Next slide. And so that's 2 of the instructors on the left slide working with students who were, I think, doing beading then. And on the right, on one of the occasions, they had students from the Roxbury Boys and Girls Club next door come and participate in the activities. And so that was a really full day in class. Next slide. And this is a close-up of somebody doing beads. So there were boys and girls, and there was even a senior citizen who came and made bracelets and necklaces. Next slide. Another activity they did was making terrariums. And so they had plants and kids and all the different things to make terrariums. And some of the staff at the library got to make terrariums as well. And that's it. I just wanted to show photos from those 2 activities because they weren't done when we had our last meeting in June.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
I love the terrariums.
Yeah.
I had one and I killed it.
All right.
It outgrew the thing.
All
right.
So I guess next we plunge into the applications.
Yes.
And what I'm going to do is follow the chart that I had sent you all. And I make comments on each, and then I guess we should decide on the protocol. The yeses are always real clear. The no's tend to be clear. It's the maybes. So I guess we will, after we go through and have categorized which where they should be, then we will go back and figure out if we're gonna apportion, what budget, the same, what they asked for or less.
Yeah, I will keep track of that, of what's approved and the amount, so we can tally at the end. Welcome, Elizabeth.
I just read I was just gonna say, for the record, Elizabeth Nagaraj is on the call.
Okay.
Here for just a few minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no, we're good. Thank you. Just in time.
So the next, the first application, if you follow the chart, is Izara Oliveira, and it's Joy's Resistance Afro-Brazilian Workshop, asking for a little over $9,000. She's a returning applicant. Last year was her first year. And the outreach and marketing were good. The evaluation form was good. I thought it was a solid application. She has a lot of experience in dancing. She has a dance group that she works with. She had a public event last year that she plans to repeat. There was some difficulty, with her initially, because she's a maestra, and a little bit of a diva, but we got through that. So I'm hoping that if we fund her this year, we won't have any of those issues. I think that, she's also trying to do community training in this particular iteration of her program, and of community leaders and dancers. And what else did I see? That's about all that I saw. She had the resumes and the bios of other dancers. So I don't know what other people thought about it.
Well, I will make a comment.
Mhm.
She was extremely prima donna. She was really aggravating with the staff, and they don't want to work with her anymore. No. To be honest with you, I didn't see that side of it, because every time I spoke to her, she was polite, cordial, friendly. Or if they called me out and did I come out, and I don't see that side, but they said they had an extremely hard time working with her. And like I'm saying, the program was nice. I don't want to say that I don't want her back, but the staff doesn't. But I didn't see that side of her, and I saw she was engaged with the community, and I saw people in the class, but I didn't see the other side.
Yeah, so I would say that she was, again, very demanding, somewhat on the nasty side, definitely in her demands. One of the staff wrote the longest email I've ever received from a staff member about it. I think that over time, she kept telling me what the library should do and what should happen, and she was making demands, but I think over time that she saw what the library's resources are, et cetera, and I think maybe she became more accepting, and she's come to other programs. She's come to several programs since. She's attended programs from other grantees, and her demeanor has been different. So that's all I will say. So I don't want to say anymore.
That's kind of hard. Hard to hear that, knowing how hard the staff works to really ensure everybody's having a good time at the library, that she's giving them a hard time, and knowing that it's a great program. So balancing the two is the challenge. Do you turn someone away because they don't work well with the staff? But she kind of came around at the end. I guess with this particular one, going into it, letting her know that the staff is there to support and not for her to, I guess I'll use the word, to speak badly to or to abuse them, because they're there working as well. So that's
what I would recommend is, can we park this one and make it a maybe, and then we can come back to depending on how many grants we're giving out and what the money looks like.
Yeah,
Okay, so
that sounds like a good idea.
agree.
Let's move to the next one, which is Stephanie McKay and Lauren Dale. Take the A train. I just showed you photos. It's for K to 5 grade. As I said, it was an exemplary program. They're asking for $9,000. They did provide refreshments in this past workshop, but I didn't see that included in the budget this time. They had really good photos. They really shared a lot of books from the library. They used the library resources a lot. And last year they had asked to do it for 2 weeks, and we reduced it to 1 week just because of the space. So this year they're coming in again to want to do it for a 2-week time. And I guess I would say that that timing would be the thing that, in terms of the use of space, would be what I would flag. Any other comments? Anybody else read it?
Yeah, and I just wanted to reinforce, I think 2 weeks is a significant amount of time. I mean, it was successful in a week. And I mean, is the, like, and then it's just a lot for one room to be used for that long.
Anyone else?
So question, so last year, Candelaria, what did you say? Did they do one week last year?
Yeah, we funded, they asked for 2 weeks, and we wrote them that we accepted their proposal, but we were only gonna allow them to do 1 week instead of 2. So we reduced the amount that they had asked for in half. It was so popular, and they feel that they could do either 2 1-week sessions, or, deal with the same group for the 2-week period.
So they would not be back to back, right? They could do one in the spring, one in the fall, or something like that.
I think they would want to, they both work full-time jobs, so I think that they have their summers open. They might be able to split it in the summer, not having it 2 weeks consecutively.
The 2-week consecutively kind of takes up space-wise, and we are getting more community involvement than ever before. And if they could do one in the spring, that would be great, not have them back to back like that. I don't know how that will work with the schedule, though, but it would be ideal but it was a good program. But if they have them 2 weeks back to back, that will be kind of tight and cut into all the other grantees' time.
So could we, it looks like, does anybody have any objections to approving them? If we approve them and say, we are approving you for 2 weeks, if you can do one in the spring and one in the summer, or even one in the winter and one in the summer. Like, if you think about the February break, that might be a time to do one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That'll work.
And then if they can accommodate that, then they'll get it. And if they can't accommodate it, then it'll just be the 1 week again in June. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I'm just making a note so I won't forget what I said.
Yeah, it's such a great program, and I wish we could, give them the space for that, but that's tough.
Yeah.
Can I ask, just from a keeping track session, can we go through them all, and then at the very end, maybe go through and we'll vote kind of as a slate, like yes, no, and then I'll put in the little caveats. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Or do you want to vote as we go?
No, we want to vote as we go.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's fresh in the conversation.
Okay. So then.
But then we'll do a full review at the end.
Okay, gotcha. So this obviously was approved, I would take it, right? With the caveat of the weeks. Okay.
Yes. The next one is Movers and Makers with Irish Evans. She's a returning applicant. She's asking for $5,000, and that was the program that I just showed you. It happened in July. 6 sessions. They did jewelry making, terrariums, they painted pots, there were pictures. She had so many, they sent me about 150 pictures. So it was just going through them, trying to get them out of there. So one of the things they did was painting pots, but they do a really good program, and I would recommend that it could continue again.
I like this
I don't
program.
have any reservations. I don't know anybody else.
I like this program.
Okay.
It's a good program, plus it was for families, so, and just the younger ones too.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this program too.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. That's good. Next, Marvin Henry, Relax Now Mobile Spas, requesting $4,350. He's a new applicant, and he's a licensed massage therapist. the budget had lack of details. I had no idea. This was an incomplete proposal to me. There was like, will they have massage tables? Is it hands-on massage? What are they doing? So it just, I couldn't make a lot of sense of this as something that we should fund. I don't know if anybody else has an alternative.
I had a problem with it myself going over it though, not the budget part, but then the way it was written in his handwriting. I couldn't even understand the handwriting. And you're making a proposal for a grant that all that should be clear. And I don't know if it's just me, but I don't even like the idea he even have he said Roxbury Branch Library at 700 Boylston Street. Things like that bother me.
Mhm.
You can't get the address right.
Yeah,
That's a big, you gotta know, if you do cut and paste, you gotta review.
Mhm.
We all do it.
so does anybody want to fund this program?
No,
Okay,
No.
okay, so I would say this is a no, so we can move on. The next one is Chess Wizards, and they're asking for 10,000. They're returning, this is a group that I've had some issues with the organization and not the person who teaches. I noticed that they didn't put in the resume of the gentleman who actually teaches the class, who I've dropped in on the classes numerous times. So the person who actually teaches the class, Ray, is good. The organization is big, so I had to push back on them to try to get them to fill it out in my format, which they still didn't quite do. But in terms of, are there kids in the classes? Yes, they are. Do they teach them chess? Yes, they do. Are people excited to be there? The one thing, because the regional director doesn't even really come in, hasn't come in since they first applied, the gentleman who teaches the class is really a chess teacher. And sometimes he'll have an assistant come in and working with him. He's not a person who manages like cutting off when kids can come in. So there were lots of like, they even complained lots of more kids kept, every week there were new kids coming. And so that the continuity was always disrupted. So that's the only thing that I would say that I saw as being problematic. My solution would be for me to be there and sort of do what I do with the piano class and sort of do an orientation and say, these are the rules. And then let's say, when are you going to cut off new kids coming in? But other than that, it's okay.
So did you,
Yeah.
so did they had a lot, so they had new kids coming in, but
Yeah.
was there attrition on the kids that were already there?
Sometimes, but that wasn't it. It was just that people kept talking about it and new parents would hear about it and then new kids would come. And so again, up until almost the final day of the classes, there were new students coming in. And so that's what they didn't control. And
So
so
it was disruptive.
Yeah, so that would be, again, having a real, in the orientation, really making the regional director say you have to come to the orientation and not just the person who's doing the classes, who really is a hired gun, young Black man, really energetic, a good teacher, but the administrative side of stuff he doesn't, and they're a national organization. And so a lot of the stuff that I communicate with comes from people that are one was even in Yugoslavia during the start of the war. So it's really,
So
really
in the proposal, he says it's 13 kids, 1 to 13. Does he has multiple instructors or is it just him?
It's him, but other people from Chess Wizards do drop in.
Okay,
So sometimes there've been 2 instructors in the class.
got it.
A lot of times you'll see parents and kids playing together. So.
Okay.
It was a great program. I just have a problem with the $10,000 figure for it. Are we putting it out there though, but are we getting 10,000 worth of our investment?
Well, I do think it's kind of high, but it's high. It's last year they didn't put in for enough, so they were running classes. They put in for the amount for the first semester. And again, that communications gap, I gave them the contract, and then they tried to bill for some other classes and it wasn't part of the original contract. So I
Okay.
made sure that they understood. And I even contacted them because I got a notice of intent and I didn't get a proposal. And so I contacted several people that I didn't get proposals from to find out, why. And then they somehow the communication gap.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think that this is when we could reduce the amount that we fund and see what they can give for a reduced amount if we need to.
Okay, it's a good program.
I have a question because, and I'm trying to find, just gonna try, go ahead, because I'm trying to find the budget and because I have a question.
Yeah, I think that's what I needed to go back and look at again too.
Because they say on the proposal up to 15 classes, but the budget assumes how many? So quoted hours, 44 at 225 an hour.
Is 9,900. That's how they had.
But I'm confused. Is it that I don't understand the hours, because if you're quoting 44 hours and there's 14 students, so that's basically one instructor. And you're doing 44 classes?
Yeah, the classes were, I think, 1.5 hours before. So should I ask for a budget clarification?
I think so, because the 10,000 don't make sense to me. Because at the beginning of the proposal, he's saying between 5 to 15 classes, right? So it's 15 classes, even if it's so that's, are there 1.5 hours? So let's go to the maximum. So there's 15 classes times 1.5. That's 22.5.
Yeah.
So he's quoting to double the amount, the hours. I don't get to the 10,000. Like, what's the 44 for? If
Yeah.
you're only doing a maximum of 15 classes.
So I think that they cut and paste. I think it was the haste of so I'll ask them to do a budget clarification and then we can decide.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm leaning to approve. We just need budget clarification.
Yes.
Okay. So I will put that.
So
Okay,
in-
Put
hold
them
on.
to yes, and then budget review.
With budget review up to 10,000 approved?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is Leslie English, a returning grantee. She's requesting a little over $7,000. And it's sewing 101. And what she's doing differently is that she's proposing 3 boot camps for students who do not know how to sew. 2 of those will be for adults and 1 for families around a Mother's Day event. And her marketing is solid. She got 2 letters of support from previous participants. She has a great closing certificate ceremony. I don't know how she's going to do the certificate since she's doing it as a boot camp model. Before, she had several sessions over a few weeks, and then the last session there was like a showcase where students showed what they made. So I don't know if she's going to do one for all of them or whatever, but she's very communicative, and she does have a lot of people who want to attend. I was surprised that she didn't decide to put in a proposal to offer something for students who are more advanced. But this is what she proposed. And she's a good person to work with. Once I got her to not send me 20 million different scans of receipts. The receipts is a real pain
Mhm.
for most of the applicants. That's a real hard thing to get out of them. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has any other feedback about this.
No, and I mean, when you did the review, that, the students were pretty excited about what they did.
Yeah.
I like this particular program. I like that it keeps coming back because I like sewing. I need to
You need to get
upgrade.
better at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
agree.
so this is a yes.
Yes,
Okay. The next one is a perennial Haley House, whom we refunded their Take Back the Kitchen classes. They're coming back and they are proposing more sessions, 2 sets of 8 classes, 1 for seniors and 1 for families. They'll do good marketing. One of the reference letters was from a participant, and one from Daily Table. The flyers their flyers always look very good following the BPL format. And they have a volunteer, so they did have a resume of one of the Haley House volunteers. And when I've gone in on the classes, the volunteer has always been there. And they've been quite organized. I did want to tell you that I talked with Stephanie because we got 3 proposals that had a cooking element in it. And she does say that to teach a cooking class at the library, a person has to have Serve Safe certification. So Haley House definitely has that. And I will add that to the guidelines for next year's grant, that if you're proposing a cooking class, you have to have Serve Safe certification. So
Yeah, I like their proposal, and I like that they break the family class with the senior class.
yeah, that's their model. They've been doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they do it. So any other discussion
Uh,
about this one?
I'll just say I'm a big fan of this program.
I definitely say yes.
Yeah, that's been great.
The next one is a new applicant, Matt Reed from the Boston Comic Arts Festival Foundation. He said in his they're asking for $7,500. He said in his application that they have done an event at the Roxbury branch. So maybe Alan knows a little bit more about that. I like the fact that it was saying that it was for tweens. It's a 5-day workshop that will be in English and Spanish, and they were planning to do it during April vacation week, which he noted is a week before the Boston Comics and Color Festival that's held at the Reggie Lewis Center. One of the teaching artists, El Baptiste, was a BPO artist in residence. But I did have questions around the budget, and I don't know if anybody else did. Trying to see, where can I see?
I did, but I wasn't really too familiar with this program.
Okay.
I was here, but I don't really quite recollect too much about this program working with the tweens.
Do you remember, do you know Kagan,
Kagan Luce, but Kagan is not
is
part
in
of this
loose
proposal.
with the comics?
Yeah, that's he works with the Boston Comics in Color Festival, but he's not a part of this proposal.
None of this,
So,
none of this one.
although the Boston Comics Art Festival also oversees and works with the different comic festivals around Boston, and they have organizations. For me, the disparity was the rate of money. It seemed like there were people that, like, there was one for 350 hourly rate for the director for 1 hour, and then the guest lecturers, one was 500 for 1 hour, and another was, I think I wrote down 2,000, and then the administrative they had, including the time spent for the grant writing, which I felt like is not an administrative expense.
No.
And there are no food or refreshments included. So So I thought that if, you know, knowing El Baptiste's work and because they had said that it would, you know, they had done something at the Roxbury branch, I thought that maybe Alan would know a little bit more.
Well, El Baptiste was also one of our sidewalk chalk artists that we've worked with, so in multiple branches. So we are, you know, they certainly are a part of our programming support. But $500 for an hour of a guest lecture is significant.
So, am I looking at the right thing?
So Alan, do you know if he worked when Stephen was the teen librarian? Maybe that was when he did something at the library.
Yes, I remember someone coming and Stephen working was, yeah, I wasn't too involved at the time. And I think sometimes they might have gone upstairs to if they weren't in the 20, they might have gone upstairs to a small conference room up there. 'Cause I remember several times he went up there, but I'm not quite sure who was leading the program.
Yeah, I'll just say real quickly that I think having something for tweens would be really great. And I think
Yes,
the comic book art and stuff is really attractive. But I also know that tweens and teens are the hardest groups to attract to the branch. So
I do have to say though that comics is very popular in that age segment. They did the Elliott School does a similar program, and they always get like super, I mean they get wait lists and everything.
Is it is it possible to ask him to review his budget again with those costs for the speakers that they're coming in to bring that cost down, since it is a first time program?
yeah, it's a week long. I mean, if you think about 7,500 for a week long program isn't terribly expensive. I mean, because it's
Okay.
gonna be there every day, but I know that there was no refreshment. So does that mean that you're gonna expect the kids to, you know, and how many hours? So I will ask him to do the budget again, but it sounds like we're inclined to fund.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say yes.
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 No, is Raul the third like a very popular person? I don't know who that is, but
Raul the third or whoever is that?
yeah, because for $2,000.
Can I ask a question? I know that you guys just voted to approve, but there were a few pending revisions. Is it pending a
Yes.
better clarification of the budget
Yes.
breakdown? Okay.
I would say yes.
So actually, Raul the third, because I just looked him up, he's a New York Times best-selling.
Yes. So maybe that's his fee to come. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked him up as well.
Yeah, so he's no.
Yeah. So I was concerned about the refreshments as well, that's a question.
Okay.
So I'll ask for the clarification and let you all know. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
The next one is Carlos. The first one is the Roxbury concert series, which we know was successful. He's asking for 6,200. And this time, instead of 3 concerts, there'll be 4 concerts. And the 4th artist will be presented in collaboration with the Celebrity Series of Boston. He has dates for October, December, April, and June. He's requesting, as part of his budget, the funds to make a web page. And he says the fee for the first concert is being donated by the Boston Conservatory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only 3 concerts we are actually sponsoring.
Yeah, I guess we'll consider co-sponsors because it'll be at the library and using our space and that kind of thing. And then I know he's also going to rent the piano, which he did successfully last year at a discount, and it made a real difference. So
I would definitely say yes.
Yes.
Yes. His concerts were well attended by all ages.
Yes.
And I love seeing music at the library.
So the next one is for the piano classes. And obviously we've been doing that. That program began in 2008. The classes are from 9 to 12. And this year there will be 3 instructors and 2 recitals. And some of those are changes that I talked with him about. One, Boston Conservatory is very interested, and they're going to help identify and pay for teaching assistants so that there will always be the instructors. They're going to have 2 recitals. I had told them that I thought waiting from the beginning of the program in October all the way to June to have a recital was too long. So there's going to be a holiday recital and then an end of the program recital. And he's going to have the 2 classes are going to be for beginning and returning students who are more at the beginning end, 1 class for the intermediate and advanced students. And I think that would be good just in terms of age, as well as having them all concentrated, because some of the kids who've been coming since they were 6 and 7 are now 15 and 16 and 17. And, you don't want to necessarily be in a class with somebody who's 7. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's different levels.
Yeah. And we have we have a waiting list as well for students to get in.
And
The
you
only
always have a waiting list, isn't there always a waiting list because it's so popular?
Yeah, and we bring, I will go to that waiting list and send information out to them, and then also see who wants to return. And we'll do the flyers as well to let people know that it's there. The hard thing though is getting people Saturday after Saturday after Saturday. There's some sessions that always had that group of families always were packed, and there are other sessions where only maybe 3 or 4 will show on some Saturdays, and I don't think there's anything we can do to avoid it. If it's raining, I know we're going to have less attendance. If it's the week before a school vacation, people. And then as you get toward the end of the year, family reunions and those kinds of things. But it's a solid group of kids. The kids have made a lot of progress who've come consistently. The only thing I noticed was that he said that the last recital they want to have at Boston Conservatory. I would love if we could allow that. We did that during the pandemic for obvious reasons, but it's a great. The kids get extra excited about being in that kind of setting, but I don't know if our rules prevent it. So that's the only thing I would ask.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's a yes for me.
Yes.
It's a yes.
Kendall, I totally appreciate that it's like fancier being there. I do want to just confirm that I know we've all said yes, but I just want to make sure that we're not going against the sort of the mission of the grant where we're supposed to be focused on Roxbury. So I just want to, I don't want to be like, we'll take that offline maybe, but I do want to just make sure we're okay for that. I know we're all in support of it, but we just want to double check.
Yeah, so the holiday recital would be at the branch in the community room. It's the end of the year. So you're going to check with the lawyers. Is that what you're saying when you say you want to be sure?
Yeah, just because, because the programming is supposed to be taking place in Roxbury, and I realize that this is like a chance to be performing in a real hall. So I'm not trying to take away that specialness, but I just want to make sure that we're following that.
Yeah,
So
I think it should be, it's worth checking just so we can tick the box. But I think it would qualify as the program participants have been at the library all along. It's just a final event.
Well, the other thing I was just thinking as we were talking, we might do something where I can ask him if we could do 2. One at the library, and if there was restriction, then we could do a second one.
And I guess the only question would be, as part of his budget, we're not paying for being at the conservatory with this budget.
We've never had to pay to be at the conservatory.
No.
Just for the record.
As an action item, I'll follow up with legal to get their take on it, and I will send an email to the group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next slide. Next page, yeah. John Kordelewski, another returning grantee, asking for $8,000. 2 Saturday evening jazz concerts as usual, one in the fall, one in the spring. He's going to do a repeat of bringing Dee Alexander, who was here last fall and was very popular, and people asked if she could come back. And then Charles Oliver, who's a new, or I can't see my writing, Tolliver, new person for the spring. They will ask the cellist from City Strings United program to come back. That's a program that actually ran a program for kids this past year, but didn't put in a proposal for this year. They're doing 2 shows as usual, one at 7 and one at 8:30. They usually have 220 participants over the 2 shows. 25% of them are newcomers in terms of the evaluations that they've done. And they noted in their budget that they would pay for the musician travel from separate funds. So it's a solid perennial hit. They have a big audience, and I'm glad to see that they've been tracking that they do get new people to come. Any other comments or?
It's such a well-attended program. It's really exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
It's always well attended. He has a waiting list for this also.
Yeah.
Attendance.
The next one is Michelle Coleman, who's returning. This is the 2nd year she would be applying, that she's applying for a grant. She's doing what she calls chair yoga and intro to yoga's ethical principles. She's requesting $10,000, 2 5-session series from fall and winter, 12:30 to 2 on Mondays. And what I like about that is that that's not usually a time that is that busy at the library. So she's not asking for a Saturday or an evening date. And I've dropped in on several of the sessions, and people are very, very interested in it. It's for adults. She has a good plan for outreach. She had about 14 participants on average, and sometimes she had definitely more. And the only thing that I questioned a couple things on the budget was, what did she have any of the materials that she used previously to use in this class? So is it all new materials that she's having to get? And then I put a note about website update. But other than that, I think she's very responsive. She sends notes in between classes. She sent us notes, everybody who attended her class, notes about yoga and practices and events that she's learned about. She teaches at several different places throughout the community, including the Roxbury Y. So it's a solid program.
And I did attend most of the sessions. I think I only missed one, or no, I missed 2. And I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did. I looked forward to it. And it was different age group. It was older. We had a varying age, and it was everyone who came really was engaged.
Just to piggyback on that, the participants, they were wondering, can we have this back again also too? So they really participated and enjoyed themselves. So I would say, have it back. As you look into the budget, you had clarifications on.
All right, so I hear it's a yes.
If I may just comment on that, I will have her fill out a disclosure, Evelyn, just making that on record. She is a member of a trustee committee for the BPL. I didn't want to put that in as any kind of, she did last time too, so I'll make sure she does.
Okay. The next one is a new applicant, Marie Furman, who has a company, Black Biz Development. It's a Queen Makeda performance project, and she's requesting $8,850. I didn't understand this proposal very much at all. When she came to the information session, technical assistance session, she talked about the fact that she worked with young people on entrepreneurship and business skills and understanding that. And then when the proposal came, the notice of intent, she proposed this, and it was so different than what I had understood that she might apply for. And that's okay. People change their mind between coming to an information session and putting in an application. But I found it difficult to understand, and I didn't feel that it was written with clarification that I could understand it. So I don't know how other people who read it felt about what was being proposed.
She had a program last summer, and to be honest, I don't know what she was doing with that program. I mean, she had like a lot of teams showing up though, and I guess she said she was giving them instructional entrepreneur and all, but for the program she had or something, she had gotten a grant, and she was giving them who participated a stipend. And so, but I don't know if that was stipend for participation or what that was all about. I couldn't get clarification. That was your own program she was running. So try to get clarification what she was doing though, but never quite got it.
I'm just looking at it again. Give me a moment.
They definitely didn't have any kind of sketch performances. I mean, they did have people coming in speaking.
Yeah. So again, reading it, I couldn't understand what is really going to happen.
Is she doing a play or?
Well,
what-
that's part of, yeah, so if you go to program description,
That's
she
what,
has, then it says specific duties. So there is a skit. There are 6 learning modules on entrepreneurship. And then contribute to business and art related discussions. So it's like entrepreneurship for artists.
So I'll say again, as written, it's not clear. And she also mentioned the expertise of library staff, that they can research books and then maybe do a skit reading at a staff meeting, which it just wasn't written clearly enough for me to understand. So I would recommend not funding.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not clear.
it seems like she's trying to do 2 different things.
Yeah, I'm not clear because when I look at specific duties, to me that's sort of like deliverables. And so it's like, so deliverables look like a skit and then learning modules, but
And
then
then
she
even the name,
elaborates the skit, but I don't see anything about the modules.
yeah, and then even the name Queen Makeda, what does that have to do with the learning mod? So it's not clearly written enough for me for us to decide to fund it. So,
Yeah, I don't understand.
okay, so
So are we asking for her to come back with better description or, okay.
No,
Oh,
no.
is she, yeah, no.
okay, let's move on. If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
The next one is the Roxbury Cultural District. And if you notice, I highlighted in yellow both this one and the previous application who did not submit the application form that they were given. That's a real, follow the form that they were given. That's really kind of irritating. But Kelly Chun, this is the first time she's putting in an application for the Roxbury Cultural District. A few years ago, she put in an application for an exhibit of artwork with photographs by Don West that we funded. So this is funding for the 3rd Nubian Nights. There have been 2 previous Nubian Nights, and featuring musical performance. Each night will feature 1 to 2 local acts. and provide information about the Roxbury Cultural District. She's proposing them for 2 Saturdays in 2024. One happens to be my birthday. One is 2 consecutive Saturdays from 6 to 7:30. She has the only letter that she had was that the cultural district designation had been received from the Mass Cultural Council. I feel her budget is reasonable. I called her to ask her because she didn't explicitly say in the proposal where the Nubian Night was going to be. And I know the first one was held during the pandemic at different storefronts.
Different
When
stores.
I called her, she said, of course, it's going to be in front of the library. And she said the second one that they had done had been in front of the library. So that's what I know.
And maybe this was clearer to others when I was reading through this. It couldn't, I know saying outside, it just couldn't quite determine if she needed access to the branch because we really, I know Wakanda, we've been having that program for years and years, but having extended hours programming, we really don't have the staffing for it. So this is where my concern is with this. You know, staff do work a lot of overtime, which we appreciate, but I just want to be, I couldn't quite get the sense if they needed access to the branch. Because then that's like Makanda pays for that access. So that's part of what their fee is. They pay for the overtime for the custodian and the security officer.
Okay. Alan, do you remember the Nubian night that they did last year?
I don't, was this probably what they had over at the bowling building?
Yeah, that was the first year they did it in front of the bowling building. They had it in the windows of the bowling building, a display and music and light and stuff, but this is a little bit different. I guess, so they're gonna have performances, and again, I don't know if they need access to the library, so should we ask for clarification with that, a budget that would include overtime, or are we saying that maybe they'd have to do it earlier? Or what? Because it's different from Savor the School. It's different from Savor the Square, which is another group that's been doing things regularly in front of the library.
I would like more clarification on what their exact need is in terms of, because it does say 7:30, from 6 to 7:30, but do they need to be inside? And also, I thought both of them took place at the bowling building. I might be mistaken because I don't remember attending it at the front of the library. I
No, I don't remember that. I
remember going to them, but not at the library.
No, it hasn't been.
When I called her, that's what she said. The first year was
Okay.
the second, so maybe they didn't need to come in the library and they had it and you didn't need to know, but I'll ask for that clarification.
Yes.
So are people inclined to say yes or no based on clarification?
Well, I would say too, if they're gonna clarification, but if they don't need any of the library facilities or anything, and they're just gonna be outside on the plaza, and don't need us for any type of a setup, because we do close at 5 o'clock. So if they do it on the weekend or so, but
I don't like these proposals that make you work too hard. Because
Yeah.
because it just leaves a lot of guessing. It says 1 hour musical activation series, free, okay, series. How many in the series? Each night will have 1 or 2 local acts. So how many days,
You're saying June 8th and June 15th, 2 consecutive Saturdays are when they were planning to do it from 6 to 7:30. That's what the proposal says. But again, she didn't follow the format, and I feel like it's something they're gonna do, and they're just trying to get funding for it. So for me, it's like if it's in front of the library, what's it gonna do at that time? What's it gonna do to attract? It's not really attracting patrons to the library because they're not coming in, right? So
and I also don't see the connection, Because, you know, these proposals have a connection to the library, and I
Yes,
don't
sir.
see the connection either.
Okay, so it sounds like to me this is an easier no.
It
No,
is easier now, because even when they're describing, they're talking about doing what they did at the bowling building at Black Market, but there's no in the Newbin Gallery, but I don't see, I don't know, I attend, They
Okay,
said-
I'm
yeah,
comfortable with that.
yeah, I'm not
Okay,
comfortable with saying no.
you're not, or you
I
are?
know I'm comfortable with saying no.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one then.
Yeah.
Carol Walton with the American City Coalition. She does a number of events called Savor the Square. This particular proposal is for the Greater Roxbury Book Fair. They're requesting almost $9,000. This will be the second year. The book fair is considered part of the Savor the Square events. It will feature local and aspiring authors and artists. It will have 11 sessions. They hope to have Raul, the third illustrator, come, Dr. Ibram X. Kendi, who's at BU, and that would be a real big deal. Jabari Azim is a professor at Emerson. He lives in Newton, and he's written best-selling children's books, novels, poetry. So he's Aqua Holmes, who's won and has done some events at the library, etc. They said that they will contact local and national publishers to see if there are other local authors with books coming out, I guess authors, and they will reach out to Latinx writers as they did last year. They will give away at least one free book. Several of the costs on the budget are provided in kind by the American Cities Coalition, and they're thinking about purchasing a portable speaker and mic. I don't know if the library has that. And then there was also something for $4,000 in travel and hotel. And so I don't know how they came up with that amount, or if they've already spoken with Raul that would be the cost. Who would be brought in. I know that this spun off in terms of the creation when the Boston Book Festival a few years ago had a big event at the library, and you know, at different sites, the bowling building, Frugal's bookstore, all over Nubian Square, including the library, and the staff of the Boston Book Festival has changed a lot. Anyhow, last year, a committee of people, including American Cities Coalition and the owners of Frugal Bookstore and some other people, met to do their own Greater Roxbury book fair, and that's how this came. So they did one last year, and now this year they're applying to us to help fund it. So.
We just want to say too, it used to be part of the overall Boston Book Festival. But then found out that the Boston Book Festival didn't really want a lot of local artists at all. They thought it was too well known, too broad for these local authors who had no one really heard about, maybe except the community. So that's why they broke off and just have like the Roxbury Book Fair for local artists to come in. And last year it was a great program. It rained outside, so we brought everything inside, and everyone was more intimate, more setting. Got a chance to have a conversation with the artists, and everyone loved being indoors more so than outside because it brought everybody closer together. And so everyone is looking forward to doing it again, though. But I would say, yeah, it was very successful.
yeah, I like this program.
Okay, so is that a yes?
That's
And
it.
they like, so if they're outside, I know, I mean, obviously they have a microphone and speakers in the community room. Some branches do have portables. We can double, Alan, I don't know if you know offhand if you have a portable. And so that there is, yeah, so just as like we have some of that technology, but if that was just something I wanted to mention.
Well, the other thing is that we say in the guidelines that if people buy equipment, it becomes property of the library. So if they buy a speaker and a mic, then that has to be turned to the library, and I will reiterate that.
Right.
Okay.
They should check that we have the equipment before they buy anything.
No, he's saying we don't have the portable for outside.
Well, we don't. And do we we made this, that expense for travel expense.
But they could rent it.
Yeah.
That equipment can be rented.
But you said mention about some of 4,000 for travel expenses?
Yeah, I wanted to check on who that was for, what national person they're getting, you know. I know that, the professors, will be an expensive person to get
Mhm.
in terms of his fee, but bringing in, I think it's Ronald III and figuring out what that connection is to being local, but I can, you know, I think they put that as, so I can ask about that.
Mhm.
Yes.
Raul lives in Boston.
And
Yes.
yeah, but they may have national,
speaker fees.
because in the proposal it also said, here's the presenters that we had last year. So they probably don't know who they're bringing. They're just putting a budget to bring people from.
Yeah, but I want to find out because again, you think about it, if it's local versus national, are they doing more local focus? So I'll ask about
Yeah.
that. And maybe even say that, no, you can only bring in one. If it's a one-day event, you don't need to bring in two big people. You just bring in one and everybody else who's local, and then you give them their speaker's fee.
Right.
Okay. All right, but we are a yes with that, with the curve.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The next one is, excuse me.
Faith
Returning applicant Faith Johnson, art and meditation. She's requesting about $4,500, 5 2-hour workshops. One in the fall, one in the spring. She does meditation and then creative hands-on arts activities. She had a sample flyer, she had evaluations. And she noted in her budget that some items are being donated. Her classes are popular with the people who attend them. She has a really good spirit, and people enjoy them. I've viewed them several times. So I don't know if anybody else has any ideas about this proposal. And she also has strong recommendations, one from Four Corners Yoga that's up in Dorchester.
And their program has been a good program.
Yes, it has been.
I was going to say it's a yes for me.
Yes.
Yeah, she's been doing this a while.
Okay, so let's say yes. The next one is Arts Emerson. So there's a big change with Arts Emerson, just in terms of staffing. I don't know how many of you know, but Akiba Baca is no longer with Arts Emerson. She accepted a job a couple of months ago with the Boston Children's Chorus. So Akiba is the person who actually founded this, and this started in 2013, the whole play reading book club idea that she came up with. It started at our branch, and it proved so popular that they now have had it at other places.
Mhm.
They're asking for 10,000. There will be 3 plays this year instead of the usual 4. The model is that each play is discussed over a series of 5 sessions. There's a teaching artist from Arts Emerson, and people study the play. They get copies of the script, and then there's a performance people go to see. Sometimes there's a reception before the play, sometimes a reception after the play. They often get to meet either actors or directors, sometimes the playwright, sometimes stage crew from the play. They come home, they come back and unpack it and decide what part of the play they're going to do as a community reading. And so they have 3 different things that they've proposed, one from October to November, one in January to February, and then the final one in April. They know that they have a popular group of people who've come to virtually all the play reading book clubs. And when they opened it up a couple of years ago, we started noticing that people would come from other play reading book clubs that were at other libraries and other settings. They like to come to Roxbury. They like the diversity of and discussion at Roxbury. They're trying not to make it a closed group, so they're going to segment the registration so that they let the public know about the play reading book club a couple of weeks before they let the members who've come before know. And they had a good support letter from a gentleman named Alan Knight that we might know, and a
Yeah,
participant.
whoever he is, I heard that name.
Yeah, and participant Carolyn Jackson. And then I know that Elizabeth has participated quite a bit.
Quite a fan.
If you want to say anything about it.
What I'll share is that when I first started doing it, which I think, gosh, I can't even remember, it's been so many years. What I love most about this program is going to see plays that I generally would not go see just based on the advertisement, but participating in the discussions, you really do want to see the play at work. Everyone that I know who has been a part of it, I've invited others to attend, really loves this program and always looks forward to it returning. And then what's interesting, a friend of mine from church joined a similar reading playwright program in her community because I talked about this one. So when she heard about it in her community, not the Playbook Reading Club, but another similar one, she joined it because she said, you were always raving about how much fun you had. So it's a go for me.
Yeah, it's always very popular.
In other words, that even though with Abaka, she had been running for all these years, and Kathy's been working with her, and there hasn't been a drop off at all this past year, even though Abaka has moved on though. So it's still the high level of organization, and I really recommend it.
Yeah, so Caitlin and Kevin Bakar have both worked with Akiba over the past, so there will be no, I don't think people will notice a difference. So we have yes, so we
have a
move on.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is a new applicant, Dr. Lucy Lomas, who's a OBGYN specialist. It's a women's health empowerment series. She's asking for $10,000. She says she's led a series on diabetes at the Roxbury branch. And she wants to talk about nutrition-based plant diets, healthy hormones, the needs of reproductive age women, the needs of menopausal age women. She's going to have guests, including a nutritionist, a pelvic floor physical therapist, a chair yoga instructor. She had sample feedback questions, and she's saying 40 participants maximum. It's very much geared toward adult women, although she put a note in here that men could also attend. I didn't note how often she was, 4 sessions. So 4 sessions. And she's planning on having those in January and February. I think the biggest thing would be recruitment. And I don't know, Alan, do you remember anything about the diabetes series that was at the Roxbury branch?
I vaguely remember though, but like I said before, there is really recruiting. It's almost like a hit or miss, unfortunately. But depends on how much real recruiting and she has helping her to bring the audience for participation.
So my take on it is that so I happen to know her. I recently met her this year, and I'm actually working with her on something outside the library around this same women's wellness. I think that recruitment may be the only question about this. I did see some of the takeaways from the program that she did for the diabetes. I did not attend it. For me personally, and with what I'm doing with another group, something like this is something we need in our community. That's free for people to attend and to learn about the different issues that she's talking about. I think that if she promotes it well, I'm just going to give my little this is more personal. The way she promotes her programming on her Instagram, because she goes live a lot with her because she's the director of, actually, I have it right here. Her exact title is, where did I put it? Bear with me a second. I thought I wrote it in my notes, but I didn't. So she's the director of her program. And so following her on Instagram, I think that there is a following that will bring in just from that, but the advertising will bring in the attendance. That's my take on it.
I mean, I think it's a really, I was like looking at it, I was like, I want to sign up. So, I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, if she has a following and she does good advertising, and she gets attendance, I think we should go for it.
Well, one of the things I do in orientation is I talk to them about, I send to our mailing list and people who've attended programs at the library. So I'm always trying to make sure that they, while they have to go out to attract the public, I also want to let the people who've been coming to the library a lot know about this kind of program. So I think we've had, like, if you think about Michelle Coleman and other people and Faith Johnson, their programs, this would be a way to attract people. And then I go through a whole list of you know, centers around and churches around and all these places to actually.
And I was going to say that, Candelaria, because they could have a following, but they may not be from the area. So to
Yeah.
bring people from the area, it's key.
Yeah. So I go through a whole list of that. And now that we have the African market, which is, if you haven't gone there to eat yet, it's a wonderful place to eat on Washington Street. They have it's a small grocery store in one of the new buildings near Bartlett Square coming into Dudley, and they have really good food. But that would be a place that I would say.
So I've been meaning to go there, but every time I go by, it looks kind of desolate. So is it particular times or hours?
I've gone there for lunch several times. I think, and also sometimes from the outside it's not visible, but I haven't found it desolate when I've gone.
Is the entrance through the back or through the front?
Through the front, but it's sort of, yeah.
Okay.
So anyhow, it's worth checking out if you haven't. So are we a yes with this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next one is a repeat applicant. He did a program last year called Math for Life. He's requesting $10,000 for 4th and 5th graders. He's doing mental and manual arithmetic. And he wants to do sessions for 16 two-hour weekly workshops and then two 2-hour nutrition workshops teaching recipes that use math. So this is one, if we funded him, I would have him talk to Stephanie Chase and have her maybe co-teach or be there if they're doing any kind of recipe. He's doing something that will involve math. He had 2 letters of recommendation. I asked him about he has a resume of a woman, Miss Holloway, in it, and he said that she would be helping sometimes depending on the hours she was available, and he didn't put her as a separate line item. He would be paying out of the grant. He's a really good guy. He does private tutoring. In fact, I ended up hiring him to tutor my grandson in Charlotte via Zoom and math. When I went, he never got a whole lot of attendance, but there were 3 boys that attended consistently. And being in the session with them, you know, they're rolling their chairs, they're doing all the kind of things that active kids and active boys of that age do, but they also did math. And I don't know if you remember, they had, some of them wrote, he had them do evaluation forms, and I shared their handwritten evaluation forms. For me, the biggest thing is going to be recruiting to get more kids. And his hours, I was going to suggest that maybe he do it a little bit later than 3, because 3 is, unless you're getting, you know, now that we have a contact next door at the Boys and Girls Club, that's good. That maybe you can get some kids that need that there, but that's my only concern is participation.
That was my concern also, because last year, you know, he had like 2 or 3 consistent, but it wasn't. I think he expected more, but that's a hard age group too. You're talking about 4th and 5th graders, though. But I'm looking for $10,000 for 2 or 3 kids, more or less, coming through.
Yeah, you know, I don't think we should fund it at the full amount that he's asked. I think in doing, and I also think having 16 hours, you know, 16 workshops is a big commitment.
It is.
So I would say maybe have him do something that's shorter, that's more likely to get, like if you did 3 4-week sessions or 2 4-week sessions at different times, and maybe see if you could get something. But that's the biggest thing is he's a great person, he's a great teacher, good with kids, but getting kids in there.
Yeah, and the challenge is that he has different topics for every week.
Yeah. He also worked with them on their homework. Like if they brought in homework, you know, I saw what he did, but I think it's like not quite, if he could find a partnership with a specific school or a couple schools that could get the kids there, that's the biggest problem. So I don't know what to say about this one.
The challenge is the attendance.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, do we want to suggest him trying it later? I'm just thinking for fourth grade at schools, there, in general, fourth graders are either in after school or they're getting, like, it's not, they can't just walk over to the branch. There's no real like close elementary schools right there. So it's like the 3 o'clock time. I know we already said that it's a really difficult time to start a program for fourth and fifth graders.
I think it would even be hard if it's 3:30 or 4, to be honest. I know that one point in one of the programs we did, people from the Nathan Hale School came, but that was because there was a principal there who was really interested in that particular program and made it happen. There's too many ifs. So I'm comfortable if we said no, and I could talk to him about maybe applying next year for a program written in a different way. But
Because I agree. Because I was gonna say the alternative is to cut it in half and then cut the sessions in half to see if he can get some traction. Oh, but I'm agreeing with Alan to have $10,000 for 3 kids. There's not a lot of value there.
yeah.
No.
So what are we deciding?
So do we say no, or based on the program, or can we put it as a maybe and talk about it later?
Okay.
Yes.
Later is gonna come soon.
I know.
Okay, let's move, because I know we got a lot, so we got a lot to do. Next page. Alder Witherspoon, the Witherspoon Institute. It's called the Get Lit Win Kids Book Band D Club. I don't know, that name is crazy. Anyhow, it serves kids from 5 to 15. And she did it for post-COVID learning crisis. She's requesting $9,000. And the program, she has 2 recommendations, one from a personal friend, one from a person who volunteered with the program. I was asked to participate and did participate in the spring as an author. So I can tell you from my personal experience, it's a good idea, but to me, the realization is so broad, and the age range of the kids is so broad. So there were kids that came from Vine Street Community Center to my sessions, but they were actually the wrong age for my type of book. I did work with them. I know how to pivot, and I did some things with them, and we ended up having a good time, but it wasn't at all what I expected. I think her first session got a lot of people. She had music, she had a DJ, she had a lot, but the attendance and the spread, the kids who are 15, 14, 12 are not interested in being in a room learning about books with 5 and 7-year-olds. So even though I participated in the program, I didn't get paid. None of my books were purchased, which was part of what I thought was going to happen. So take me out of it. The market, she's also doing this in several different cities. So when she first asked me to do it a while ago, and I, listened to all that, the concept is not, for me, it's not based in actually how you work with children around literacy and how you recruit, what's going to bring kids into this program consistently. So it's a tough one for me. I just don't see us funding it. So Alan, you've been there at the library. Can you talk about it?
Yes, I know every program that you have, she gets the kids to come in though. I mean, she usually has like the room focus. She has our community room, and it's always full. So no, she has connection probably with different schools, which is unfortunate that this math teacher doesn't have that connection with the schools. But as far as what the program is all about, I'm still not sure. It's kind of vague, but I know she filled the room all, and she had different like guest speakers coming in and talking to kids about literacy, education, and values and all. So she has her attendance there, but as far as part of the program concerned, and she does she makes sure they do sign up for library cards if they don't have them. before they leave, so.
So originally
It-
the program was 3 to 7:30, and then the proposal was 3 to 6. So and there was food, she had food. So I think the first session was the biggest attendance, and then there was another, and then there's one that's coming up this week maybe, or just happened. But again, I think you have to base it on what's written and figure out.
I think her age range is so large. When I saw that, that was because if you get all those children at the same time in that age group, do you have two people that can work with breaking the groups in half? Because I know when we do programming at church and we break it down, we wouldn't put we wouldn't have a range that large, because again, a 15-year-old is going to have a different need in terms of literacy than the 5-year-old. So if she doesn't have it where she can have people working with the different age groups, I don't see how it works well. I think that if she wants to do this, perhaps focusing on one age group, maybe tweens or preschool, elementary.
I know this is something she has self-funded, so I would say for me, as it is written, it can't be funded.
I know she does have about 3 or 4 instructors with her at these sessions,
Okay.
but I'm not sure how they break out.
Okay, in my experience at the one I went to, she didn't have instructors. She had the DJ doing his thing, and then she interviewed me, and then da da da. Again, I don't know. You have to look at what is written. Does it make
Yes.
sense to fund this
No.
program?
It's-
So, okay,
Yeah, I agree.
okay, so we'll
It's
say
too
no,
much.
and
So
I can
say-
give her feedback to reapply and
Mhm.
what might make it tighter for another time.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank-
Denise, the next proposal is a new proposal, Denise Washington, for pop-up poetry, adults 18. And there'll be a poetry workshop with the Published Journal. She's asking for $7,000. She has done pop-up poetry events around in the library and around different places in the community. She proposes having it during National Poetry Month, which is April. She's targeting 10 students. I was surprised that was her maximum number. I thought the materials budget was high. This was one that I was just dismayed by the number of grammatical errors in the proposal, but that's it. But she has a lot of stuff going on in the poetry community, and she has a lot of solid events. Again, I said there's been things at the library, there's been things at Franklin Park. So I do think she will get participants. And she's proposing 8 weeks, 11 classes, and 1 performance, as well as having a published journal at the end.
I haven't worked with her, but Akuna worked with her quite a bit. So,
Okay,
so she has been to library often.
okay.
Um,
What is she doing for the 7,000?
She's doing 8 weeks of a poetry writing class. She's having a performance, and they're going to have a journal. And she's having some guest speakers come in. She mentioned some poets that, like Askia Touré and other people. So I think it's a solid proposal.
yeah, I think so too.
I was going to say, in terms of, I like the fact that she's having it wrap up around Poetry Week, Poetry Month.
Yeah.
It's a yes for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll
Yes.
put yes. Okay, so the next one is a new applicant. $6,900 from Tyra Lane Kingsland, a cooking and nutrition workshop. And she was looking for caregivers, especially mothers from ages 25 to 45 with young children. So when I was reading the proposal, she's asking for $6,900, almost $7,000. I asked her where she lives. So she lives in Maryland, and part of her budget was including for her to come in October, December, March, and June. And she mentioned Stephanie Chase, so I guess she'd done her research and talked to Stephanie Chase, but I didn't, and she grew up in Orchard Park. She's a mother of 6 kids, but I just didn't feel like there was enough in this proposal that we would want to bring her in from out of town.
Yeah, especially because we have the Haley House doing that, and we have enough people here in the community that if there was a need that we don't need to pay for someone, as you said, to come in to do this. Because what if she can't get here she's traveling and she can't get here for one of her sessions?
Yeah. I've also observed that a number of the nutrition programs that Stephanie has asked me to send out to our list and put up on Facebook have had to be canceled and then rescheduled. So I think getting the numbers of people to attend the nutrition classes, Haley House has got a good track record, but I think it's hard for someone else, particularly someone from out of town. So I would say no.
It's a no from me.
It's a no. You don't think we have to have someone pay that expense?
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one is also a new applicant, Jack Payton, Nubian Square Investment Advisors. He's asking for $5,000. This is an adult 3-session workshops to cover the fundamentals of financial planning. He works with Project Ujima, which has a large, robust following. They do monthly meetings and they do investments. They've given money to different Roxbury-based business, and he works with Boston While Black. And I mentioned those 2 organizations because they have a lot of track record. They're very active on social media. So I think he had a detailed outline of what he would offer. I thought on his budget, he had too much for food. He had $1,500, and I said, what the hell are you feeding people for 3 sessions? So that would be the thing that I would flag as no, we can't pay that, and reduce that significantly. And he didn't follow the outline, although he covered most of the things. He was a person who didn't come to an information session, and this was a surprise proposal. So what do people think?
So he didn't come to the information session and he didn't follow the outline because he didn't
No,
come.
but I did send him the PowerPoint, like I did forward people the PowerPoint. Everybody who attended the session wanted the PowerPoint, and then people who contacted me after or couldn't make it, I also sent the PowerPoint and the proposal outline.
It's always concerning to me when we're going through this and we have people who hear about that there's money available for them to do things at the library, but they don't make it a priority to be part of the initial, the workshops, and not following the guidelines. And as a financial person, he's going to be teaching what you should be doing, so he should be following the guidelines from the beginning. But that's just a little personal thing that drives me crazy.
Okay.
That was the problem I had, because I'm saying you are putting for a grant, and this is the basic thing we're asking for you to do, and you can even follow the directives to get the application form in, or choose not to do it though. So I do have a problem with that.
Well, I will also say that we had people who did that, who did attend the technical assistance session. So what I'm trying to do, because y'all don't know what I've been going through with the final reports and everything. I've wanted to hang myself a couple times this last few weeks. I think he had a solid proposal. It's clear he has the expertise to do it. I think he knows people. He didn't ask for too much. I would reduce the amount offered him. I would, take away probably 500 because the refreshment cost is too much. So I just think based on what did he write, is it a solid proposal or not?
It is a solid proposal, if we're going by that.
Okay, and Evelyn, you're a money person too. What do you think in terms of when you read it? What did you think about it?
Well, to me, it's more of a precedent. It's like, there is a structure that needs to be followed in terms of the proposal. And so one of the questions I have, because, just browsing through it, did it have, maybe it doesn't follow the order that we have it, right? But does it include all the components? And I think that as a committee, we need to say, we need to make a determination, and that needs to be true across the board in terms of if you didn't follow the format or the process, do you get automatically eliminated, or do you actually considered?
Okay, so we over the years have tried to be more inclusive because we're dealing with people from the community.
Okay.
So we if that
Or a
was
little
the case, then
lenient.
there's several of them that would not have been included. We would have not, all the people that are highlighted in yellow, I would have said no. I could have said like, okay, Chess Wizards, you can't apply because you didn't get your proposal in on time. So I went back, the woman who did, I can't remember her name, from last year, who did the Latinx, she put in a notice of intent. And when I didn't get an application from her, I wrote her and she's, oh, too much is going on in my life. I just don't have the time to do it. So I'm trying to not be so rigid.
Got it. Okay.
But so
No,
I think since we've considered everybody, we just have to decide based on what he put. And when I went through, he did have all the information.
Okay.
Um,
So
and-
I love the topics. I mean it's financial literacy. I mean I love the topics.
yeah, and that's very needed. So do you think
Yes.
it's a yes?
Yeah. So
Yes,
that yeah,
with my
so with the
caveat,
revised food
revised
budget.
budget. Oh,
Right.
so
Candelaria, is his name Jack or Jock?
Jock, Jock. I just pulled him up on.
So are you comfortable with me asking him to reduce the budget by 500 or
Yes.
1,000?
I think, well, again, how many sessions again is he doing?
Three.
It's 3 sessions. It just
for
seems,
about-
it seems like a lot of money for food for 6 hours.
Oh,
just
yeah, it
seems-
is.
It just
So-
seems like a lot of money for food, and then the marketing budget is also very high. I was curious to be, this is such an important, as Elizabeth just said, it's such an important topic, but you do want to make sure that we're, that we're conscious of that. Like yes, food is nice to have, but I think that the topic is enough that, I don't know, it just seems like.
So we could reduce it by 4,000. And then,
That's a lot.
He offered him 1,000.
I mean, not by 4,000, reduce it by 1,000 to get it to 4,000.
Yes, because I
Yeah.
think his food budget is high for the number of sessions, because is he serving dinner? Is he serving lunch? Is
No.
he?
I don't
No,
know.
his suggestion is 1 to 11. No,
Okay.
11 to 1, excuse me, opposite, 11 to 1. So that is like prime lunchtime, but,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
No,
even if he orders pizza, that's
yeah,
still high.
yeah.
If he doesn't advertise it as lunch, that he's providing lunch as opposed to providing light refreshments, I think for 6 sessions, I could definitely do a meeting and not spend $1,500.
So I've already got that. We're gonna take the $1,500 and so let's say we can offer him $3,500.
Yes,
I'll be comfortable with that.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Because he definitely has his marketing down, because I found him very easily. I already have him pulled up.
Okay, all right. So the next person is Athenaeum Evans, Emerge Wellness, the Calm Experience Tween program for tweens between 9 and 12. It's a 4-day program that teaches mindfulness practices such as emotional regulation, anxiety reduction, and mindful eating. She's asking for $1,200. I happen to know Teo. I hired her for one of her first jobs more than 25 years ago, and she worked for an after-school program at Madison Park Development Corporation in Madison Park Village. And I've kept in touch with her a little bit, but I hadn't seen her in a couple of years. And so when she walked into the information session, I was surprised. Her resume was not as good as it can be, and so I have it on my list to talk to her about doing her resume over. But she's one of the best people to work with kids I've ever seen in my life. She's a really they like her. I remember all the Uno games she used to play at Madison Park with the kids and getting them to try new foods, and kids, even some of the most rambunctious kids would not act up around Miss Teo. So again, I think that because she's proposing it for the April vacation week, it makes sense to do it. And I know she's an active youth minister at a church she mentioned in her and her references were strong. One from the minister at the church where she's a youth pastor, and another one from the Watertown librarian where she did a similar program for. The biggest thing with tweens obviously is going to be recruitment, but again, it's April vacation week. So I would say for the cost, and because I have the personal knowledge of her and her strong references, I would say yes, to give her a shot. I don't know if anybody else has any
I mean, say yes, especially for the price.
I'm gonna say yes based on Candelaриa's recommendation. I'm being honest.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, so let's move on. Teresa Brewer is a new applicant. She is asking for $5,000 to do something called Confronting Oppression to Advocate Racial Equality workshops, 3 full day, 6-hour workshops, 1 in the fall, 1 in the winter, and 1 in the spring. Her references, one was related to her being a facilitator, but not of this topic. I could not open the other recommendation letter, although I tried. The budget seemed reasonable, the marketing plan appropriate. My questions were actually the topic and whether or not having 3 full day workshops, 6-hour workshops, 1 in the fall, 1 in the winter, and 1 in the spring was realistic. This seems like, in my opinion, something that's more like what you would do for corporate or not large nonprofit client with their staff. It doesn't seem to me to just be for the public that are being drawn from different places. And are you going to be trying to have the same people attend all 3 sessions, or is each session a standalone? So it didn't make sense to me for our audience at the branch, but I can be corrected if anybody else. And Teresa is well known in the community, and I think she comes to the library for other events. So
I was thinking this, I'm sorry, I was thinking the same thing, that would she be able to get people to commit to the 3 6-hour sessions? Because that's a good chunk of the day. And so I'm assuming she's proposing to do it in the morning time. I didn't look at that time on that one. But who's her audience?
And what's the outcome? You bring them together, you go through this stuff. What's the outcome? I didn't really get the outcomes.
I don't.
My concern is
Mhm.
is to having those 3 full days, you taking up the whole day, taking up space. I mean, whether it's worthwhile or not, but I don't know where we can find those 3 full days that no one's even using the library space.
I mean, 6 hours it's a long time.
Big commitment.
How do you keep, it says learning outcomes, but
Again, this sounds like something that she does in her consulting practice, and it sounds like it's usually for corporate clients and nonprofit clients. It doesn't sound like something that's realistic for a general audience at the library using the space. And most of the people that come to our branch, it's hard to get them to commit to 2 hours, let alone a 6-hour day. So I would say no on that
no.
reason. I don't think it's appropriate. Okay. Daniel Callahan has got is a new applicant. He is well known in the community. He's an artist, and so he's put in proposals for 2 different programs. The first is for almost $10,000. It's called the Masking Workshop. He's proposing it in May, Mental Health Month, on a Saturday from 1 to 10:30 with 10 to 20 people per session. I think that's he's doing 4 1.5 hour workshops, and he has a large network as an artist. He's president of the Roxbury Cultural District, although I think he's on leave of absence now. I think a couple things. I don't know if you looked at the pictures where he does the full masking paint. He's doing them all over New England, and they've been participatory. He did one. His letters of reference. One was from Reverend Mary Margaret Earl at
First Church.
Urban Ministries, and Lamerchi on behalf of Spoke Art, which is located out of South Boston. I know that he did a big one. His first big one was at Hibernian Hall a few years ago, and then he did one somewhere else. I want to say over by Forest Hills, the Arboretum. I think he did something over at the Arboretum, and I saw one he did in Vermont. I don't know if it's been done enough in the Roxbury area, and so I just think it's a lot of money, although I think he commands that for this. I would say, if anything, I would reduce it to being two, to having him doing two of them rather than four of them. And I don't.
Candelaria, you're saying to see how, like, what the attendance is like? Like, to sort of have him, I know we've done this before where we've had people try it and see how it goes, and then we're able to do an additional if they need it, like, you know, or like continue it. We've done that before. But so if you're saying just to do two and then we'd be reducing what the fee would be.
Yeah, I would recommend maybe saying we will fund you fully for two, and then he can decide when to have them. I don't see a need for four because, again, there've been so many done in Roxbury, and when he put the mental health month component in, he didn't really explain that I remember why that month was important to this workshop. I know that the workshops have been raved about, they've been written about in the Globe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I just don't see us being able to support four of them. And I don't know in terms of the cost, what you all think.
I like the idea of suggesting that he does two, to, you know, do one in the fall, and then if that's successful, continue on with the spring. Just because I think it's popular, but will it be popular for here? And does he have the following that will bring it out to support it?
He definitely has a big following in Boston. And like I said, he did it at Hibernian Hall. And when he did it the first time, it was packed.
Okay.
But again, I don't know. I just don't see doing four of them. So I would see if he would be willing to reduce it to two.
I'm in support of that. Anybody else?
Anybody
Yes,
else?
Yeah, I
yes,
think so.
supporting two sessions.
Okay.
So would that bring the budget down by half? Is that what you're approving?
Yes. The next one from him is a workshop for $6,183, and it's Staying Authentic While Marketing Your Work, a 4-session workshop for creatives. And it's a 1.5 hour workshop. He does a newsletter that he does on a regular basis. He's done a film that showed at different film festivals and stuff. He was also a member of the Creative Entrepreneur Fellowship, which I ran for 10 years. I just resigned from them about a month ago. It's a lot of what we did in Creative Entrepreneur. And he has done this workshop for Mass MoCA's Assets for Artists program. And he's recommending a 1.5 hour workshop 4 times. And I'm not sure. The city does a series of entrepreneurial workshops. There's about 5 or 6 different groups around town that are doing this now. And the pool of artists is kind of small. So I don't necessarily, and a lot of them have been through the Creative Entrepreneur Fellowship of the Arts and Business Council. So I don't see this as something that we need to fund for the library. But if anybody has something opposed to that, I'm willing to hear it.
I'm going to agree because the city, particularly since the pandemic, has been providing workshops every single month, that anyone can attend. And so it's a no for me.
Okay. Anybody, yay?
I'd say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one is Ashley Gordon, Castle of Our Skins, which is most of you might have heard of. They do a lot of stuff around classical music. They're proposing Black History, Culture, and Music workshop for kids ages 4+ and their families, which are interactive, intergenerational. And they're asking for 10,000. This is their first application to us. They are hiring people. I've been seeing ads for them actually hiring staff for the organization. So they're proposing in February, they will do songs and games. In March, Voices of Black Migration. In May, a 20-minute music and story time. And in June, Portraits of Spirituals, which would be a 60-minute event. They enclosed their 990. They had recommendation letters from someone at the Boston Children's Museum and someone from the Central Library at Copley. So I don't know whether, I'm assuming this would be a Saturday program that they would be interested in doing. So as we know, the space thing is going to be, as always, tough. But they are a very, very well regarded organization, and they do a lot of work. They haven't done anything at the Roxbury branch. I went to something they did when they were first starting out at the Roslindale branch a few years ago. But they've grown exponentially since that time. So.
And I believe the Roxbury Senate, aren't they the headquarters or somewhere in Newton Square somewhere?
I don't know. I don't know where the headquarters are.
Mm-hmm.
So this is when I'm comfortable with them, and I'm even comfortable with maybe suggesting that they instead of 4, they do only 2 of the sessions. But you know, I will defer if anybody else has any ideas or thoughts about this particular program.
The only comment I was going to have as we've gone through these with the number of sessions that several of the groups have suggested doing, we are going to run into a space issue. So as we got into the end, I would suggest maybe not as many sessions as well.
Yeah, I know the City Strings last year did a series of 4 workshops, and they did them in the children's section of the library on Saturday.
Yes.
And those were successful. So I don't know if this is something that could be considered in the children's section, because some of them are short. One of them is like 30 minutes of audience participation. It said on one of them, 20 minutes music and story time. The last one is the one that seems to have the most time, 60. So
I would.
Oh, sorry, Elizabeth.
Go ahead. You might be going to say the same thing I'm saying.
Well, one of our fantastic neighborhood services managers has 2 small children and works out of the Roslindale branch. You're just thinking of them, and she talks about how at a certain point in the day, everyone goes home for nap time, and they're talking about like having this program being for 4-year-olds. If we can have it in the children's room, I do, as Candelaria suggested, again, Elizabeth, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just think 12 to 1 for 4-year-olds is, excuse me, for caregivers who are trying to, that's like lunchtime, heading into nap time. It just is not a great time. I mean, I like that it's a shorter thing, but I wonder, Alan, like, what are your thoughts? And Elizabeth, I know you were going to speak. It's just the thoughts on having it being in the space in the children's room, and then you can have it at 9:15 on a Saturday.
Yeah, my only comment was going to be asking her if her program could be done in the children's area, because then that would alleviate that space since they have that kind of sit down area.
Yeah. I would say probably some of them could, and maybe the big one would be the one in the community room. So the flexibility, but it's just a matter of if you think, again, they are a draw. They are an engine. They are doing a lot of stuff and well regarded. They've been written about a lot.
So concerns about it being like too disruptive for the time in the children's room. I mean, we it is a sort of sectioned off space, but noise still happens.
Well,
I guess
we had the program last year and it was successful, and they did have live music and participation, but they contained it. It didn't seem to disturb. So I think that would be one of the things that in the orientation, I would say to her that you're going to really have to use look at the children's space, and that she was not somebody who attended the orientation. So what do you all think, a yes or a no?
A yes with those questions.
Okay.
Yes. What time was it they were looking for in the
They
children's
didn't
room?
say, they didn't say,
Okay.
they didn't say the time in the,
Adjusting that earlier time so that
Earlier time would be best.
So can I just ask, just for clarification for the minutes? So you voted to approve with the clarification of her timing and her flexibility on space used at the library?
yeah,
Yes.
and I don't think that's an issue. I think that she knows that there are different spaces in the library. She didn't say it had to be the community room. She didn't say it was
Yeah.
on a Saturday.
She said, yeah, she says, children's space or community room.
Yeah, so she's already flexible.
She already knows.
So yes. So the final one is prophetic resistance. She didn't submit the proposal until July 31st. I had written her because I, of her letter of intent, and I got a cover sheet, but no full proposal. She said that she didn't receive the RFP materials, but I forwarded them to her again, highlighting the fact that I'd sent them on June 29th, or actually June 19th, earlier than that. I mean, on June 29th. So this is for the Corey info tables that she did, and she's asking for 10,000 ages 21 to 70. And this year he wants to do, they need use of a private room. So what they did before was when she proposed it before, it was in the warmer months. And so they had a table outside the library. And then if they needed to follow up with individuals, they took them to the private room. So that's an issue. The food cost is too much. I don't understand it. I dropped by a couple of times to the Corey information tables, and I saw a few people, but I know it's one of those things that it's just that they're dealing with passersby. She said that they had 63 participants that were served in over an 8-week time period in summer of 2022. She filled out the old form. So she definitely got in hastily. So I'm not sure that the table worked. Alan, do you have a perception on the table?
You said, no, they did have a table format though, and they were able to, some lawyers come in and they would take them to the side and talk to them though, but I'm not sure where that number 60 came from.
But in my observation, when I would go by during the times that they were there, I've never seen a large number of people. I've seen them outside waiting for participants.
Yeah, it's one of those things that because of the sensitive information, I'm wondering how many people, we wouldn't probably see a crowd. I'm wondering, it's more, and I just think that to me, there's not enough people. You really have to recruit to get people to come to the table, or the table has to be somewhere where people are coming in and out. So are coming around that might need the services. So and also because of the way it came in so late and was so, I would say no right now. I just don't see doing it again. I think it would be great if she did it in Nubian Square in the station, or in front of the South Bay Stop and Shop, or the Grove Hall Stop and Shop near there. I think that would be a better place for it than the library. So I don't recommend funding it.
Agree.
Okay. Agreed.
Okay, so now we go back.
Going back to the
Can I-
math, right?
Hold on a second. Can we, on this Corey one,
Mhm.
can we, when you give the feedback, can we also provide I mean, because we're interested in this type of program, but it seemed like what it was done in the past doesn't work. Because I also don't want, I mean, I would like to see a program like this, and I don't know if this is just, I don't know if maybe this is not the right organization. Does that make sense?
So Evelyn, we had 3 programs that were dealing with similar populations last year, and this is the only one of them. It's been a nightmare getting the receipts and everything from, and so she just is not applying this year. Another one forgot to reapply. What I will say is that the idea of serving this population, which was brought forth by Representative Tyler, is very noble. But in terms of the real ground, these were three very different programs, getting people to come in, getting people who come in who actually need the services. I think there are other places that work with formerly incarcerated people or people who are just coming out that probably provide the services in a more private and holistic way that it reaches. So Ayana Bean didn't come back with a proposal, and I attended. She had really great speakers, but it was too long a time. It was too disorganized. Two of the people came from New Hampshire to attend one of her sessions. Other sessions, there were two sessions with an attorney who's phenomenal in terms of explaining Corey's and all of that. That was a different program than this one. But the numbers of people that you would hope to be there wasn't there. The program started late. People straggled in and out. So there's something about the population that maybe
needs
we
a
just
different
haven't found the
structure.
right program to attract them to the library. So
Yeah,
I will give a general feedback for people because I don't encouraging them to apply again. But with her, she could have done better if she had just talked to me and not, So
Yeah.
anyhow.
got it. All right. All right. So the maybes that we had was the Afro-Brazilian workshop.
Yeah.
And the other maybe was the mental and manual arithmetics.
Yeah.
Those are the two.
On the first page.
So let's go to the first one. So Brazilian.
The issue was that in her first year, particularly the first two sessions, she had a major
Clash.
clash and attitude problem with the staff, with me, and it was horrible. As the months went on, I think she learned a little bit more about this is, we can't control this thing, we can't control that thing. The staff is not your servant, and I've seen her come to other programs. So I think that maybe she has learned a little bit more about this is not the Cambridge branch. So what you did at the Cambridge branch may not have anything to do with the people who are going to be here at the Roxbury branch. She also had used a fiscal agent, and the fiscal agent had actually received a payment, and she thought they didn't know they had ascribed it to somebody else, and so she ran up one side of me and down the other. But we got through that. So if I were to advocate for her to return, it would be because maybe she learned, and maybe it will be different in terms of her expectations of what the room will look like and all that. That there will not be custodians on Saturdays this year either. So you're going to have to be prepared for that. If I were going to advocate on not having her back, it would be because it was really nasty, and for her to make Tracy have to write such a long letter about some of the things that were said to her, and the fact that she said she would not apologize, that would be the reason. So it's hard because it's the programming.
So I want to be respectful to the staff as well,
Yes.
because that kind of behavior should not be tolerated.
Yeah.
And then Alan basically said, it's like none of the staff wants to work with her. But the question that I have for Alan is, is that true from the very beginning? Did that change? Did the staff has a different opinion about it? Because the last thing I want to do again is to aggravate the staff.
Okay, I'll start off first saying it's a good program, great program, but they actually not too long ago said they didn't want her back. But I said, well, come on, the program was good though. But then see, and again, she was aggravating the staff, especially Tracy, when Tracy's going out of her way to help her. And she really, you just demanding more or less though. And there's other staff members trying to help her. So this part was going throughout, and then she did kind of change, but then if something wasn't going right, then she reverts back to form again. So
Well, so let me give you a caveat. So in terms of her application, she asked for an extension, and she wrote me first and said, will you give everybody an extension? And I said, nobody else has asked for an extension. She said she needed it because she was going to hire a grant writer because, English is not her first language and da 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 da. And I said, well, I can give you until this time, but I have got a timeline because I want to get the applications into the reviewers. And so then she says, I will get it done in whatever way I can do. But she's a diva.
All right, so let me ask a question. Let me make a proposal. Let me make a proposal and see how everybody feels. The proposal is we approve. I think we need to set expectations. And if the moment that expectations are not met, and we can say, and Alan, I would, love for you and Candelaria to set those expectations. The moment then it gets canceled. So let's say she does the first workshop and then things don't go well, right? We let her finish that workshop and then we cancel the rest. So it's like, you only get one chance. Like, here's the expectations. You have to be respectful. You need to clean after yourself. You need whatever those are, right? And it's like you need to follow these things. And if you don't, all workshops after that get canceled.
I would also probably ask for a meeting with the staff or with Tracy that she needs to apologize, I would think.
I would agree.
Yes.
She needs to come in on a positive note. And if she's unwilling to apologize to the staff, thinking that they're there at her beck and call on her servants, it speaks a lot about you're doing this program. So if somebody doesn't agree with you, you're just going to lash out at them. And that's not the kind of program that we don't want to support a person like that, even if their programming is great, because that says, regardless of how you behave, we're still going to let you do your program.
And the other thing, Elizabeth, I was going to say, I think that's a great suggestion, but I also think it sets the stage to, we have it in Spanish, borrón y cuenta nueva, which means erase it, start again, to have a good start, right? So let's acknowledge that we had a rough start. Let's apologize about it. And then let's move on, and then, build that, it gives her an opportunity to build a relationship with the staff from that point forward. So I like that suggestion, Candelaria.
Okay, I will write it down and I will do it.
Just from my minutes perspective, is it okay if I repeat just to make sure that I have it right?
Yeah.
Approve with set written expectations, and the moment not met, the remaining sessions may be canceled. Suggest meeting with staff to confront existing issues that arose from the former session. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. And then the other maybe was the mental and manual.
Yeah, the basic solutions, Darnell Anderson, on the bottom of the second page.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you know where are we on the budget, because I've been tallying the numbers. So we do have funding. So if we want to say yes, we do have the funding. And the other thing is, we said that it needs to be later than 3 o'clock. Is that what we said?
Yeah, and also we talked about maybe reducing the number of sessions because 16 2-hour weekly workshops is a lot. And then he was going to have 2-hour nutrition workshops. So recruitment is the big issue with this. Can he recruit students to attend the program beyond 2 to 3.
Yes.
Right, and we know this is a great sort of idea, and so I'm wondering, and I'm not suggesting that this is the way this has to happen, but having, seeing about him working with Stephanie, not like, and having that being funding from a different, like, pot of money. I understand that we're here talking about this, but having the, like there, like to try it out, does that make sense? Like having him do a couple of one-offs with Stephanie to see how we could get the, you know, if he's able to get some audience and then sort of building it that way.
Okay.
It just is suggestion.
But see, that's not the core of his program. That's an add-on to the core of his program. So I think the best thing is to say, we ask for another proposal for less time, more like a pilot, and figure out how you're going to get students to attend. And if you, then we read it and say, yes, we can fund it, or no, we can't. Like, could he do a February vacation program? Does he have that time? Could he do an April vacation program, a math kind of thing? That's specifically around math, but the recruitment is nothing's going to change trying to get kids into that program unless he's specifically working with a nearby, like the Roxbury Boys and Girls Club, and those kids are going to come in on that day for that thing. I don't see anything changing. I could see him doing a different kind of program with math, maybe, I don't know, understanding math with the parents or something like that. But again, that's not what he proposed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know if he should try maybe a couple of one-day sessions or something. I just, based on last year, I didn't see anything in the recruitment that made me say, okay, he learned from last year and now this year, this is what he's proposing to do to recruit.
All right, so do we say no then?
Yes, we say no.
We have to. Okay.
So we denied both of his, right?
He only had one.
We only won.
The second part of it is part of the proposal that he would do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
Gotcha, sorry, yep.
that's all right. Mhm. It's confusing. All
Okay.
right, so we have that decision made, and I'll break it to him.
All right, so do you want me to do a quick rundown?
1 second though, do we have something discussion around Chess Whiz? About,
Chess Whiz,
we approved it with some conditions, I can't remember.
budget clarification.
Yeah, we're gonna get budget clarification from them.
Okay,
All right, you want me to go through the rundown?
yes,
Okay, all right. Isaura, yes. Stephanie, McKay, yes.
Excuse me, Evelyn, you want to go back to the top, to the screen so we can follow along with you at the
Yeah,
top?
actually, do you want me to, can I be presenter? Let me see. No.
I can't change it because it's because of the webinar. It has to be Jay and he's not on anymore.
But the
Okay, got
paper's
it.
up there, so now it's fine.
Okay, so Isaura, yes for the full amount. Oh, because I'm looking at my spreadsheet. Stephanie, yes to the full amount. Hold on, let me just hide this.
Iris Evans,
As long as, agreed to weeks, agreed to 2 weeks, as long as they split in the year. Iris, yes to full amount. Marvin, no. Rob, yes, but it needs a budget review up to 10K. Leslie, yes for the full amount. Michelle, yes for the full amount. Boston Comics, yes for the full amount. Both of Carlos, yes for the full amount. John, McCanda Project, yes to full amount. Michelle Coleman, yes to the full amount. Marie and Kelly are no's. Greater Roxbury book fair, yes for the full amount. Faith Johnson, yes for the full amount. Kathy, yes for the full amount. Dr. Lucy Lomas, yes for the full amount. Darnell, no. Alda Witherspoon, no. Denise Washington, pop poetry, yes for the full amount. Tyra, it's a no. Jock Payton, yes for a reduced budget of 3,500, reducing the food and marketing budget. Epithio, yes for the full amount. Teresa Brewer, no. Danielle Callahan, yes for half of the budget, reduced to 2 workshops. Second proposal for Daniel Callahan, it's a no. Ashley Gordon, yes for the full amount. Daniel Williams, it's a no. And then added project management services. The amount that I have for project management services, Pamela, and I'll send this, I'll put the spreadsheet on the Google Doc so you, and send the link. Is it 42,194.77? Is that what we agreed?
I put it in the chat, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry.
42,194.77.
You got it. All right.
And
So total
only, can I
funding,
just mention one thing that I had that you didn't mention was under Ashley Gordon, the Castle of Our Skins, I had approved pending time flexibility
Yes.
Time and space.
because that was the one with the children, I think, and it
Yeah,
was.
but we
time-
clarified that because she actually had put in her proposal that she could use the children's room or the community room.
Nope, I didn't put in space, just time. It was something about the
Okay.
12 to 1 time frame. Is that, do you want me to take that out or leave it in?
it's fine. Just leave it.
Okay.
Okay, and then so the total budget approved, it's 193,405 with 83 cents.
Say that one more time.
193, 405, and 83 cents.
Sorry, one more time, Evelyn. I'm sorry. 195,
No,
no,
193,
193.
405,
Mhm.
and 83 cents.
Thank you.
And
My
so
numbers lock wasn't on.
as always, I need a little bit of money for ads and stuff.
Yes, and then to that, we need to add the distribution to
Duxbury.
the branch.
Yes.
Is that 5,000?
Yes.
How much are you allocating for advertisement for?
If I could get 2,500 as an allocation, I might not spend that much, but
Hold on a second. Hold on. 2,500, you said?
yes.
Yes.
I erased something. Okay, new number. 200, 905, 200,905 and 83 cents. Okay. And I'll send this out.
Okay.
All right. We're almost there. We're almost there. Any new business? No, no business. Okay. Do we have any public comments?
We got nobody with us.
Okay. All right. With that, we adjourn.
Can I, before you do that, Evelyn, is there anything that we are in that contract? I just want to ask, just based on all of the stuff from last time about cleanup and stuff like that. Is there anything that needs to get put in that? Or did he cut us off already?
No, we're still
Oh, we're
here.
still here.
We're still
Yeah.
here.
Sorry, I think
The-
Jay had to leave. That's why. All right.
The concern is that, you know, we do have traveling custodial staff that work. We've asked the city to increase their custodial staff for system-wide, which is great. But we are open 6 days a week, but we do not have custodial staff 6 days a week. So when the grantees are having these food and snacks, and they need to be responsible for cleaning up their stuff, because that's what in our community room policy, it actually says like everything you bring in, you got to take out, sort of like camping. We just need to make sure that they are aware of that, because I really do want to, Mr. G is only one person, and we need to, and Alan manages the setup. So how people need tables set up, they just need to make sure they're communicating that with Alan, which they do when they book their room. And then Alan tells Mr. G. But the Saturday food programs can get overwhelming for staff. So we just need to make sure that the grantees are aware of that.
Okay, so during orientation, we talk about all that. The issue has not been that. The issue has been that Friday evening, sometime a Friday late evening or afternoon program leaves the room with trash, so that when the new programs come in the morning, including my piano program, the trash bags existing container is full. Sometimes there's stuff that's left. So I often have borrowed the broom and swept up. Alan swept up. And so that's been the kind of thing that there's been stuff that's been left from the night before. And the other thing is that the trash cans as they exist are not adequate for the kinds of things. It's a decorative, beautiful, rectangular thing, but it's not adequate for anybody serving things like pizza boxes or anything like that. And we've told people, like, if you put tape down, you got to take tape off, if you know, and those kind of things. I know there was another program that wasn't funded by us that was a big camp and had lots of people in there. So it's getting additional, making all the staff know behind the desk where extra trash bags are, whatever. I've even thought, like, maybe I'll just buy my own trash bags and just bring them in, so that people, no, I'd rather, when you run a program, sometimes you got to do stuff like that just to make sure that you have what you need. So that's the biggest issue, that it's when you come in on a Saturday. And then we've talked about this, and Alan, I know, and them are trying to do scheduling things so that there's at least an hour between programs, so that people aren't coming right when a program ends, expected to be able to start their program. So those are things I'll go over ad nauseum in the orientation. And in between, but we'll see how it works out. But hopefully we have a good group of people, so hopefully we won't have problems.
It's good to hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candelaria. This is really fantastic group of people that we have. No, this is great.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Everybody be well.
Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your summer.
Oh, wait, before we go, when are we meeting next? In November?
You tell us, shoot some dates.
Didn't you want to do something in November? Does anyone have, this time of day works for everyone?
12:30 would be a better start for me than 12.
Okay, school will be in session, so as long as we're before 2:00, which we may be meeting in person, we can meet via Zoom if that's easier for everyone. I just need to know that too.
I'm away in November.
Okay,
I'm
I'm just looking at like previous times. So is November a bad month? Is it late October? Is it early?
No, late November. I mean, I could do late November.
Do I do early December? Is that
or
easy?
early December? Yep,
So are we looking at like December 7th per
that
se?
would be good. Yep, that would be good.
You just
How
shoot
does
me that,
everyone
'cause
feel
right
about
now-
12:30 on December 7th?
Yeah, 12:30 to 1:30. I'm good.
How about everybody else?
Sounds
Okay.
good to me. I see no conflicts at this time.
All right. Are we agreeing to Zoom or in person? Zoom work for everybody's schedules best?
Yes.
I
It
think
works, but you're always invited to the Roxbury Library, of
I
course.
was gonna say, we haven't gotten together for a long time.
We haven't,
so. Why don't we do it based on weather?
We'd have to reserve a room, keep
We
in
have to
mind.
reserve a room.
Can we reserve in the room, Alan, please?
Yes, we can.
All right.
So if you want me to
let's
do,
plan for
I'll set it up in the room, but keep in mind, I have to work it out with IT because we also have to offer the hybrid for public comment.
That's
even though
okay.
we have public, just so everyone knows.
That is okay.
Okay.
But we
right.
haven't got together for a long time. I thought it would be good.
All right, so we'll do it in person with the caveat that it may possibly be
The hybrid.
pending
with
with.
lunch.
All right,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you all.
All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.